All right. Yeah.
Face like you, Neil, but I can't get rid of what's on that mug, you know. But it is what. Well, there's ways to do it, but I don't want to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Don't bother.
No, let me just
live
see
your
here.
life and enjoy.
All
You should
right.
be able to share now.
To continue, yeah, okay. Oh, good. I see this. Let me see if we can. Okay, share. Okay, let me just go to my slideshow
Yep, it's all working now.
and from the beginning. Yeah, look at that. Can you guys see that okay?
Go.
Yep.
All right.
And people should be coming in now.
Yeah. And then should I just leave that there then, Danny, and you'll?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Hey, Danny, how much time? 15, 20 minutes? Is that okay?
Probably 25, 30 if you have time. Usually
Yeah,
questions
yeah.
are a little limited on Zoom, but we'll see if we have any interaction. It's a little different than our normal meetings.
Yeah. Can you kind of keep an eye on if there's any hands that go up or anything? And
Yep,
feel free to
I'll watch it
interrupt
for
me
you.
or we can just wait till the end and take any questions anybody might have. That'd be great.
All right, perfect.
Hey, Neil, are your CEA rates are not too bad down that way, are they?
Say again.
But I know that, you know, I was just wondering what your CEA premiums are like down that way, you know, and that,
Oh.
and are they?
Yeah, no, we've seen some increases,
Right.
and but not bad. I mean, I've written several CEAs, quite a few. I mean, God, we're in September already, so I've written quite a few CEAs this year, and yeah, premiums are similar to what they have been. They might be a little bit higher, but they're similar.
And they probably aren't going to change for another couple of years because we only try to get our rates changed about once every 3 years, and we did it in 2019. So whatever you're quoting now probably won't change for a while.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah, well, I tell you, we have seen our business skyrocket during the pandemic. It's just unbelievable. And a lot of it's coming from, you know, your part of the state too.
Yeah, well, people are thinking that in 2020 anything could happen.
Oh God, isn't that the truth?
If we sold murder hornet insurance, I'd be selling a lot of that too.
Right. Yeah.
Or the
No, you're right.
right.
I think, you know, people have a little bit more time, you know, to think about these kind of things, and they think about, you know, maybe gaps in coverages and that type of thing. So yeah.
All right, so it looks like we got about half the people in. I'm sure people will trickle in here a little bit later, but welcome everybody to TRG's Lunch and Learn via Zoom. This one's presented by Neil from Bracewell from State Farm, one of our preferred vendors. If you want to talk a little bit, Neil.
Yeah, absolutely. In front of a computer. I'm on the road right now, but I'm not driving. I do have a personal driver, so don't worry. The insurance agent is not driving and Zooming at the same time. I just wanted to say that, you know, first and foremost, always thanks to all the support I get from TRG and I've gotten from TRG for so long. Definitely one of my best investments has been to become a preferred vendor with TRG. And I've got a lot of restrictions. Durf and Danny have been asking me to do a lunch and learn for quite a while. And State Farm has so many restrictions on what we can present via Zoom. So Danny had the great idea to invite Mark Toohey from the California Earthquake Authority. I met Mark many years ago at a Rotary meeting that he was speaking at, and he and I have been friends ever since. Mark works directly for the California Earthquake Authority. I know that many of you realtors get questions about earthquake insurance, what it covers, how it works. And Mark's got a presentation today that's going to help with all that. And just keep in mind, if you or your clients need earthquake insurance, that is something that we at State Farm write. We will write that for you through the California Earthquake Authority. So if there's any questions that you have for Mark, of course, you can ask him at the end of his presentation. But as you know, I am always available to help with any questions you have as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Mr. Mark Toohey from the California Earthquake Authority. Mark?
Hey, Neil, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you, TRG. Thank you, Danny Fredericks. I am really humbled to be among you virtually today. I live in Ventura County, so I'm doing this from my kitchen table at my Thousand Oaks home, and I got a haircut this morning. They lifted they allowed haircuts to resume, or barbershops to open in Ventura County, I think this week. So my stylist told me that I was the first one that he's had the pleasure of cutting. So I wanted to get it done just for this occasion. But Neil, thank you very much. I really appreciate it a lot. You're modest, and I will tell you that I do a lot of these type of events. I think Danny, I spoke to your group or part of your group maybe a year and a half ago, and in person, which is always the way I prefer. But just that's not possible this day and age. It's crazy, isn't it? Continues to be crazy. But Neil represents State Farm, obviously, and State Farm is the largest partner that we have at the CEA. State Farm writes about 350,000 CEA policies in California. And they are, without a doubt, the largest partner that we have. Believe it or not, in a state this size, it may sound like a lot, but CEA only provides earthquake insurance. And I say provide because we don't sell it, a little bit of a misnomer. Neil cleared it up. Think of us as the bank. We provide it, we back it up, we will pay the claims. The claims come out of our funds if there are CEA claims, but it's the Neil Bracewells of the world that sell it. We have 25 partner companies, State Farm, the biggest. The 25 companies that are our partners represent about 85 to 90% of the homeowners insurance market in California. So I think most of you know this, but I always like to kind of make it clear up front that, if you're interested in earthquake insurance, whether it's through CEA or whether it's through some of the private earthquake insurance companies that exist in California, you go through your homeowner's insurance company. That's how you buy it. So, again, I have a slide deck and I'm going to move through it pretty quick. I will tell you that we are fortunate, I guess, and I would put kind of quotation marks around the word fortunate, but we're fortunate to live in a state, a beautiful state, that has 2/3 of the United States is earthquake risks. Okay, so in other words, when it comes to faults that generate earthquakes, we're blessed to have 2/3 of those. And most of us, including everybody that's on this virtual meeting, live within 30 miles of an active fault. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It is what it is. It's a fact of life, beautiful state. You see it on the map there. All those, what look kind of like arteries a little bit, or veins, all those colorful orange and yellow, those are all faults. And those are only the ones we know about. The earthquake scientists in this state are continuing to discover faults that heretofore they weren't aware of. Northridge, which happened 26 years ago, January 17th, 1994, 4:31 a.m. Some of you may remember that one. When that happened, it happened on a fault that nobody even knew existed. 6.7 caused a lot of damage, and I'll circle back to that in a second. But what we do like to say at the CEA is that we do live in a beautiful state. You all are much closer to the water than I am. I can see some beautiful mountains outside of my kitchen window. We've got mountains, we've got water, ocean, we've got it all, right? But but despite everything that we have, we are not without our faults. And I have learned that on Zoom, jokes, puns don't go over real well. So that'll be the only one that I'll try and throw out there for you. But we are not faultless, right? We do have our faults, and those are earthquake faults. This is a statistic that we don't, make up out of thin air. This comes from the Dr. Lucy Joneses of the world, who used to work out at Caltech in Pasadena. Now she's got her own shop, and she's still based in SoCal. And Dr. Jones, you see her in the aftermath of an earthquake on television. She's always the go-to person for the media. Brilliant person. If you have an interest in this stuff, follow her on Twitter. She's really, really good. But the Dr. Lucy Joneses of the world tell us that there is more than a 99% chance of one or more magnitude 6.7 or greater earthquakes striking California at any time, okay? At any time. They used to tell us that it could happen over a 30-year period, so once in 30 years, but they have refined that to say that it could happen, one or more could happen at any time. A little bit more than a year ago, we had a 7.1 in Southern California, technically in Ridgecrest out in the Mojave Desert. Thank goodness that 7.1 that happened, I think it was on July 4th or 5th of a year ago. Thank goodness it wasn't a little closer to us or to greater Los Angeles, because it would have been Northridge-esque if it had occurred. I mean, 7.1 is about 3 times greater than that 6.7 that we all felt 26 years ago. But they're out there, they're inevitable. I think we all know that. Thank God they don't happen that often. Although, if you follow this stuff, it seems like we've had quite a bit of seismic activity, over the last couple months. They've been in the 4s and the 5s, not the 5s, because you feel the 5s pretty good, but the 3s and the 4s, you feel a little bit, but you don't feel much. But, it's just a fact of life, when you live in this beautiful state in which we all live in. I think this is going to work, and it's really, I think, pretty compelling and impactful. This screen just shows you what some of those faults are that we've talked about, and probably the 2 biggest ones over the last, 40 years, 50 years that, caused considerable damage. Property damage was, of course, Northridge, the 6.7 in 94, and then there was a quake called the San Fernando earthquake, or the Sylmar quake. That was a 6.6 in 71. Not too far from where most of you all probably are, there was a Whittier quake in 87, I think, and I think it was a 5.9, 1987, called the Whittier Narrows quake. Some of you may have felt it. 5s are kind of moderate size. You get in the mid-6s and the 7s, and those are the ones that, generally wreak quite a bit of havoc. We're going to keep going here a little bit. A little bit more in terms of a little bit greater scale of some of the earthquakes that we've had. I'm going to move through these real quick. This is a good image, I think, of Northridge. I don't know if you can see it on your screen or not, but you're seeing a little bit of Elvis Presley moving and shaking there. That was an image from Ridgecrest. Again, that Ridgecrest quake was in July of 2019, July 4th weekend, but you can see the desert floor just shaking, back and forth as a result of that earthquake. Again, Ridgecrest, if you've never been there, maybe it's worth adding to your bucket list. I drove out there about 2 days after those quakes. It's middle of nowhere, Mojave Desert. Neil, there is a State Farm agent there, nice guy. Gary Charlin's his name, and I did go by and say hello to him. Not a lot of damage, because a couple things. One is, and I think people in your profession will appreciate this, mostly newer housing stock in the city of 25,000. So mostly one-story homes, mostly homes built after 1980, which is when building codes got better in California. And, the mobile home parks didn't do real well, but the single-family homes, surprisingly, didn't do too poorly in terms of property damage in that 7.1. And again, there was a 6.4 the day before, so back-to-back, 6.4 on a Friday, 7.1 on a Saturday. But, big-time quakes, but in terms of damage, we dodged a bullet, or at least they did in Ridgecrest. Going to keep moving through a little bit. You know, I spend a little time on this slide because, you know, when you ask Dr. Lucy Jones, for example, what keeps you up at night, kind of a loaded question for an earthquake scientist, but she'll tell you that what keeps her up at night is what she calls the big one. And the big one would be something in the high sevens that would start at the lower end of the San Andreas Fault, which is above the Coachella Valley, okay, kind of above the Salton Sea. And that big one would go in a westerly direction, would go right over you all, or I'm guessing most of you are in or around Torrance, would go right over you all and kind of, you know, end up in the ocean. And the next slide that I'm going to show is, it takes 20 seconds to kind of visualize this thing, but in reality, it would take about 2 minutes, but it shows you how quickly this 7.8 would move from an east to a westerly direction. But also it will show you the intensity of some incredibly strong shaking. Let me see if this works. So here's the slide. And in a second, I'm going to show you the movement. So for perspective, far right side is the Salton Sea. And then above that is the lower end of the San Andreas Fault, which cuts through a wide swath of this state. But again, this one would start lower end and then kind of move due west. And just watch the orange and the yellow colors, which indicates the incredible level of shaking. Here we go. Here she comes, moving left to right, east to west. If you're in orange or yellow-orange, you're going to feel this rascal big time, big time. So there she blows. So, you know, again, that's what keeps the Dr. Lucy Joneses up at night. And again, you know, in her world, the way she sees this thing, you know, these could happen at any time. We just don't know when. You know, we haven't had a big one. Again, the last big one that caused a lot of property damage close to us, close to Greater LA, was Northridge 26 years ago. A little bit about us. We were created after the Northridge earthquake. And some of you have been in real estate business a long time, or 25 plus years. You may remember this. There was a real crisis in this state after Northridge because the big homeowners insurance companies, which at that time sold earthquake insurance as an endorsement or as a part of an optional part of their homeowners policies. After Northridge, they didn't want to sell earthquake insurance. So they went to the state of California, the Department of Insurance, and said, you know, if you're going to make us sell earthquake insurance, we'll just stop writing new homeowners insurance. And believe it or not, the big insurance companies, I worked at Farmers at the time. I remember this, but we sent out, you know, notices to our customers that said, you know, we're not going to be offering new homeowners insurance because we're just not in a position to offer earthquake insurance. So the state of California moved in. Insurance agents like Neil and consumer groups and insurance companies, and you know, I'm assuming that your trade association was probably very active too, because you know it was going to kind of potentially dry up the homeowners insurance market. And everybody got together and convinced the legislature to pass a bill that created the California Earthquake Authority. So we're this strange entity. We're not for profit, for one thing. We're publicly managed. Governor Gavin Newsom, believe it or not, is the chairman of our governing board. I don't know if he knows that or not. He's got had other fish to fry lately, right? The insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, who used to be a state senator from Long Beach, he's on the governing board, and so is the state treasurer. So we're this publicly governed, publicly managed, but privately financed bank, if you will, backstop, that provides earthquake insurance through homeowners insurance companies. We're not part of the California state budget, okay? We're not, the funds that we have are not part of the California, you know, rainy day fund, which is a good thing. So in other words, you couldn't tap into what the CEA has in the bank. You couldn't tap into that. They couldn't tap into that to help, you know, pay for a state budget deficit. So I think, you know, that's a good thing for you all to know in your profession, because I think a lot of times people think, and I'm going to get into how much money we've got sitting in there, but I think they think that, if we have a big one, you're not going to be able to pay claims. And I think I can give you some good talking points that would dispel that. So not for profit. Just an image from Northridge. Believe it or not, 26 plus years later, still one of the costliest natural disasters in U.S. history. $20 billion in residential damage caused by the Northridge earthquake. Another $20 billion in commercial damage. Destroyed or severely damaged thousands of homes, 22,000 people left homeless. And again, most insurance companies stopped writing homeowners insurance, which led to the creation of the CEA.
It's funny. I think that's the only earthquake that I remember is that Northridge one, because it was so early in the morning.
Yeah.
I think most people, as long as they were in the South Bay area, remember that.
4:31 a.m., Danny. Quite a wake-up call, huh? Yeah.
My bunk bed was swinging back and forth.
Yeah. So here's the 25 insurance companies, and in deference to or in honor of Neil, we got to put his company up there on the top. But
fine job, Mark. Fine job.
25 insurance companies, most of the usual suspects, if you will, most of the household names represent about 85%, maybe 90% of the homeowners market. If you don't have your homeowners insurance with Neil at State Farm, and if you have it with one of these other companies, that's who you would approach about earthquake insurance. The state law that created the CEA says that these companies have to at least make you aware of the fact that they sell earthquake insurance once every 2 years. They don't have to wait that long, but by law, they're supposed to let you know once every 2 years. And, we're not the only game in town. There are private earthquake insurance companies that are out there. They probably have maybe 10 or 15% of the market, and they would fill that gap, and among other things that exists by the fact that we don't have 100% of the homeowners market as our partners. So, again, but this pretty good lineup of leading homeowners insurance companies that we partner with, and we appreciate them big time. So, Jerry Maguire, where's the money, right? Where's the money, and how much money do you have, and what does it mean? So by the end of 2020, which, my goodness, it's already September, folks. Can you believe it? By the end of the year, we think that we will have $18.8 billion in the bank to pay claims, earthquake claims. So what does that mean? On the left side of this slide, look in the middle where it says 1994 in Northridge, okay? So we think, and so does AM Best, which is our financial rating agency, we think that if there was another Northridge type of an earthquake, densely populated area, we think that based on the number of people who have earthquake insurance, which is only 10%, only 10% of the people in California have earthquake insurance, we think that it would be about an $8 billion claims event. So I'm not really good in math, but I'm good enough to know that, 8 is, if I divide 18.8 into 8, I get maybe at least 2, and maybe 2 and a third, 2.5 almost. So we could handle, with $18.8 billion in the bank, we could handle about 2.5 Northridges occurring at the same time. So if you run into folks who say, I don't think the CEA would have enough money to pay claims, this is about the best we can offer them. I think. Again, I think that this proves that we do have enough money. And this, for AM Best, this rating agency, to say that we have, excellent credit or excellent financial strength, they base that on being able to handle an event, and in this case, an earthquake, that would happen once in 400 years. Now, I know that sounds great, but in this day and age, we all know that anything's possible, right? But again, I think in terms of, talking points, sound bites, things that you can say, I think that you can very safely say that, it is what it is. I think we're in very good financial shape. Keep in mind, and some of you will ask me, well, you just said that Northridge cost $20 billion in residential damage. And actually, that was total residential damage. The amount of covered or insured residential damage from Northridge was 10 billion. And then I'm saying now, 26 years later, it would only be 8.8 or 8 billion. Well, in 1994, folks, 50% of the people in this state had earthquake insurance. 50. Now, 10%. So 50% then, 10% now, which is how we get to that $8 billion. All right. If Northridge happened today, again, we think that 20 billion would be about 35 billion. Okay, inflation. I already told you about the 8 billion of the 18.8 billion. Here's the one that's really striking to me. If you look at the Northridge area, just as an example, 2.6 million homes in Northridge or in the San Fernando Valley were built before 1980. So probably the lion's share of those, or a good portion of those are not on slab foundations. And that's really the key. I mean, homes that have not been retrofitted for earthquake, that have not been braced and bolted, foundation to frame, they don't do well in earthquakes. They don't do well at all in earthquakes, right? And, so 2.6 million homes built before 1980 with, maybe the lion's share of those not on slab foundations. We really are pushing retrofitting now, as Neil knows. Neil, you've helped us with some of your customers that live in older homes. It's not as, I'm not a construction person, but I've talked to enough of them about this. It's not the bracing and bolting of a normal, average size home. It's a one-day job. And, it usually costs anywhere from between $3,000 and $7,000, I'm told, in Southern California to do that. And if you have that work done, if you have customers or potential home buyers that are going to buy a home that hasn't been braced and bolted, and if they have the work done, they get a 25% discount off of their CEA premium for doing it. And in some areas of the state, we actually have a couple of programs. We call them our brace and bolt programs, where we offer reimbursements for retrofitting. We'll pay up to $3,000 for the cost of a retrofitting. Just about any licensed, a home contractor can do this kind of work. And to get it done right, we just ask that you use a licensed contractor. If you go to our website, earthquakeauthority.com, and look around a little bit, it's a pretty good site, but we even provide a list of contractors that we know of. We're not recommending anybody, but contractors that we know of that do the work. So, again, our motto has always been educate, in other words, what I'm trying to do today about the importance of earthquake insurance, mitigate, which is the retrofitting piece, and insure, which is the piece that Neil Bracewell does. I'm gonna miss on that one. Just a couple things, and Danny, you're gonna ping me or do something, stick your tongue out or do something when I'm getting close on time. We do focus groups. We talk to agents like Neil, and we want to know why 90% of the people in the state don't have earthquake insurance. I mean, I think I know. The main reason is I think we live in a state of independent-minded people, and I think a lot of them want to roll the dice, and it's not cheap and yada, 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 but a lot of people still think the government will bail them out. And that is mind-boggling because it's so untrue. When they say that, they mean FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is a wonderful federal agency, but that usually is Johnny on the spot in the aftermath of a natural disaster anywhere, right? They cap their assistance at $33,000. You heard me right. $33,000 is the most money that you can get from FEMA in the aftermath of a natural disaster. And the average FEMA financial assistance is $8,000. So even if you're lucky, really lucky, and you hit the lottery and you get $33,000, you all know better than anybody that that's not going to pay for much. Maybe a half a bath, if you're lucky. So, if you run into people who say that, feel free to use those statistics that they verified. We use them. We've gotten them from FEMA. $33,000 maximum, $8,000 average. A lot of people in California, especially people that are new to California, they think that if you buy a homeowner's insurance policy, surely it covers earthquake, and that hasn't been true since 1984. A lot of people say it costs too much, coverages are crummy, deductibles are too high. That used to be true up until about 5 years ago when we went to the Department of Insurance and they gave us the ability to offer better coverages for a price. They pay a little bit more in premium, but also to offer a range of deductibles. So on the left, that was from 1996 until 2015, you only had the choices in that white shaded boxes on the left. On the right is what it is now. The deductibles, you can get a deductible that ranges from 5% to 25% and everything in between. Loss of use, which is so important, so important. That's what kicks in if you have to move out of your house or your condo or your mobile home or even your apartment if you rent. You can buy coverage up to $100,000. And then this mitigation discount is what I referenced before. That's if you have the retrofitting done. You can get a discount of up to 25%. The other neat thing about CEA, with the loss of use coverage, which is a sub coverage, it's part of the coverage, there's no deductible. So, you don't have to pay a deductible to have your claim paid. And the other thing, just overall for CEA, you don't pay your deductibles up front. So it gets backed out of the payment, okay? So, a lot of people think, well, I have to pay a huge sum of money up front before the insurance kicks in. Well, that's not true. We just back out the deductible and then you get paid what you're owed. A lot of people ask me, where do I sign up, and I remind them, you don't do it through us, you do it through your homeowner's insurance agent or your homeowner's insurance company. And they say, well, I just kind of want to find out what it would cost. And that's why we provide this on our earthquakeauthority.com website, our premium calculator. It's the same thing Neil will use or Neil's team will use if they're going to quote you a policy. It's real easy to use. You plug in the specifics to your home and go from there. Before the call, Neil and I were talking a little bit about premiums, and we usually try and modify or adjust our rates about once every 3 years. The last time we did it was 2019. We won't do it again probably until 2022. So whatever you find your premium is now probably is going to be the same for the next couple of years. So our rates, I think if you haven't quoted or if you haven't looked at, CEA premium rates in a long time, you may be pleasantly surprised. They're not quite as high as you think they are. And also you'll be pleasantly surprised that you can kind of, pick and choose your coverages and your deductibles. I just want to show you, because this is because of my audience here, I want to show you some images on this retrofitting thing. Here's an image, but I think there's a better one here. Yeah, see, you can see kind of the bracing and the bolting that's done. And I always, in my simple mind, I always try to tell people it's kind of the foundation is the issue. I mean, if you're on a slab foundation, there's not much, you can't do this kind of stuff. But if you have, if you live in one of those older homes with the crawl space, and if it hasn't been retrofitted, you're a good candidate for this retrofit.
Yeah, Mark, back on that slide that you had, that picture on the left,
Oh,
I think most of us are familiar with that, because when we do home inspections, that's what we see. We don't see what's on the right.
Ah, okay.
We see the left
on
side.
the right, that's the before and after. Yeah.
Yeah, so we always see the before.
Yeah.
Because most of our homes are in that 40s to 50 range.
Right. But I would think, and this is a question I would pose to you all, because I've used it a little bit as I've tried to, pitch people on this retrofitting thing. I would think that if you had a home retrofitted, I mean, wouldn't it maybe add to the value of the home? I mean, if you're going to sell it down the road, I mean, I maybe not big time, but I mean, it seems to me it would be, maybe it wouldn't be on the top 10 list, but it might be 11, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud a little bit. I'll just leave you with this, and I think this is right up your alley. And one thing I try to tell people, and I use a little story that I think that if if you're fortunate enough to own your home outright, or if you're fortunate enough in California to have a lot of equity in your home, which, again, I think we've all, better than anybody, we've all experienced that. It doesn't take long to own a home in California and gain some equity. But I think if you fall into one of those two categories of owning the home outright or having a lot of equity, I think it behooves you to, at least take a serious look at earthquake insurance. We are overdue, and Lucy Jones likes to say that living in California, the earthquakes are inevitable, but the disaster is not. And I think what she means is the financial disaster is not. So, I mean, the way we look at earthquake insurance, it's just kind of that emergency preparedness type planning and management. Danny, I don't have anything else.
Okay, yeah. It looks like we got one
Yeah.
question in the chat
Yeah.
from Josie. So like her
All right.
home was retrofitted and it's a split level
Okay.
on a slab. What would be like the risk for that?
So it was she's thinking about retrofitting, or she's had it
It was
retrofitted.
retrofitted and
Oh,
it's
if
a
it's
split level.
retrofitted, there's not really too much more you can do. I mean, there's nothing you can really do for that second floor, if that's the question. But again, if you've had the retrofitting done, yeah, I don't know.
But you still recommend the insurance though.
Oh yeah.
I think maybe that's what she was
Oh, I
getting
see.
to on
I
the risk
missed it.
side.
I missed it. Yeah, no. I would definitely recommend it. Again, I think the retrofitting piece, it's just a way to kind of, mitigate the potential damage, right? Maybe if you have a major earthquake, instead of having, $500,000 or a total loss, maybe it's salvageable. But I would still recommend the earthquake insurance. And
Well, there
again,
you
I
go.
think,
And
there's
Josie's
that
got
added,
it. And she's got the insurance too.
there's that added incentive that if she has, Josie, if you've done the retrofitting, and if you do have, or if you're thinking about buying earthquake insurance, make sure they know, your agent will probably ask you about it, but you'd be eligible probably for a discount of 25% off your CEA premium.
Well, that's good to know. So
Yeah.
then I guess that probably would be worth the value then. I mean, depending on the few $1,000s that it could cost for the retrofitting.
Yeah.
It may not add value to the property itself, but it definitely, if it lowers your payment for the insurance, that to me seems like a positive.
Yeah, and if any of you do, we were talking about premiums before, because that's always, I think, the main consideration for people. If you all do any business in the if you get into Orange County, or if you do any business in San Diego County or in the Riverside area along Interstate 15, I know it's a long way from Torrance, but if you do any business there, earthquake insurance rates in those particular parts of the state are just like, we almost give it away. I mean, San Diego, average size home, a good earthquake insurance policy is like less than $200 a year. And the reason is because, believe it or not, I mean, every area of the state has a risk for earthquake, but San Diego is a part of the state where, according to the science, the earthquake science, the risk is not as great as, Los Angeles, right? So, but there are.
Do you have an average rate for like kind of what the LA County area would be?
Neil, if Neil's able to jump in, he probably would be in a better position on that. But what is it,
Yeah,
Neil?
as far as premiums go, obviously it's based a lot on your deductibles. The higher your deductible, the lower your premium. The lower your deductible, the higher your premium. But what I see as a good measuring stick is your annual CEA premium will be roughly the same as your homeowner's premium with a state. When you match a State Farm policy with a CEA, those premiums are roughly the same. Like I say, you can get them lower if you have a really high deductible, and vice versa. But you would.
So realistically, for like the price of like your average 13 to 1,500 square foot home, it's probably in that $500 to $600 for just general home insurance.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably
if
between
you double
$600
that,
and $800.
so it could be between $1,000 to $1,500 total. Then, just to give rough numbers.
Well, for both
policies,
yeah.
For both policies,
And
correct.
you can makes it easy to pay premiums too. You can pay on a monthly basis. You can pay semi-annually or annually. So, sometimes people are a little stressed out about that huge number up front, but you know, you can always pay those on a monthly as well.
Yeah, I don't know, $50 or $100 a month to be safe and sound isn't too bad.
Yeah, help you sleep at night.
Yeah, that's to me, that's the litmus test. You know, it's being able to sleep at night.
All right, I don't see any other questions in the chat, but everybody's got Neil's contact information, and if they need to get in contact with Mark, we can connect them as well if you have any other questions for him. But I guess for the policies and everything, the best is to contact Neil directly, since he'll do that insurance quote for them.
Yep, no, that's right. And feel free. I think Danny, I sent you a link to this deck. Feel free to. It's yours to keep or share or whatever you want to do. So you know.
Okay, yeah, we'll make sure we send it out in a link, that way everybody can download the PDF slides. And thanks again, Mark. Hopefully we can get back to doing live in person maybe next year.
Hey, that would be awesome. I buried the lead. I'm an old newspaper reporter, so I sometimes forget what the lead is. The lead of what I was going to say was thank you to you all, because you guys are great partners too. We really appreciate all that you do in the real estate community. So take care, Neil, Danny. Good day, good weekend. Stay safe and healthy. All right. Take care.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. See you later.